So the years to get to that point, it wasn't really an issue because I'd then be doing what I want to be doing. So
Yeah. So hey guys, welcome to Meet the Owner. Today I'm very privileged to be interviewing our very own Dr. Arnold. So welcome, Arnold.
all right, thanks, man.
So if we just start with you telling us a bit about your background.
Okay, so my name is Arnold. I was born in Zimbabwe. It's in Southern Africa. And my family moved over to England just because they wanted, us, the children, to have more opportunities in life. So we moved over to England, a place called Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire. Went to primary school. I started in year 4. I started in year 3, actually, sorry. Year 3 in primary school in Aylesbury. And then I did my secondary school in Aylesbury as well. We then moved from Aylesbury to Derby, where I carried on my secondary school, did A-level, and ended up at university in Leicester. But yeah, being an immigrant, we didn't have a lot. So we learned to be resourceful with the little that we did have.
Yeah. What did your parents do?
So my dad was in engineering back in Africa, in Zimbabwe. My mum was a nurse.
Okay.
But when they came over, they had to retrain. So my mum retrained again as a nurse. My dad ended up retraining to be a mental health nurse.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So what was your first initial thoughts of the UK when you moved here? What were...
I thought the weather was cold. But I remember, I don't know why I remember this, but my parents took us to Tesco's, and Tesco's had this section where they have the hot meat, the chicken. Yeah. So that was like my first experience of England and the food, and I just remember enjoying a whole full chicken, me and my brothers.
Yeah.
And that was like a highlight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what was school like?
School was interesting. I mean, because in Zimbabwe we speak English as well as Shona, it was easy to adapt in terms of communicating. But I think kids, you just get along with whoever you're around. So school wasn't too much of an issue at all.
Yeah. Did you always have something that you wanted to be when you grew up, when you were younger?
When I was younger, I probably didn't think too deeply about what I wanted to do. Yeah, I wouldn't say I thought too deeply about it. I was just enjoying things, as they came along, opportunities, whether it was playing football or video games. Yeah, I didn't think too deeply into a future career.
Okay. So I know you went to university. What did you do? I know you did 2 degrees. What was your first degree in?
Yeah, so initially, when I was getting to the GCSE stage, that's when you start having to think about, what do you want to do in the future. So at that stage, I was now thinking I like the sciences, my family's in healthcare. So medicine became the natural thought and progression. So I was gearing up my applications towards medicine. Ended up getting an interview from Cambridge. I got 3 rejections from the other medical schools. Went to the interview at Cambridge. Thought it went well.
Yeah.
But I didn't get in.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to spend a year doing nothing, a gap year. So I was desperate to be going to uni and doing something like everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
So looked online, and there was this course called medical physiology. It's a science course.
Okay.
At the University of Leicester. So their promise was, if you do well enough, we'll transfer you from your first year into the first year of medicine in Leicester.
Okay.
So that was through clearing. So I got onto that. I actually managed to get a scholarship for that, because if you had certain grades, they'll give you a scholarship, some money towards your first year. So yeah, that's how I ended up in Leicester doing the science degree. But during the course, I was now older, more mature, and I realized that I didn't want to become a doctor, didn't want to do medicine. So in that respect, it was actually good that I got rejected, and that I had that year to finally figure out that medicine wasn't for me.
Okay, so were you like a hard-working student? Because for you to even get, an interview at Cambridge, you must have had to have certain grades. So would you say you're quite academic and?
Yeah, I think I was definitely spending a crazy amount of hours studying. I think what was good about my school is in the group I was in school, because I was doing further maths, biology, chemistry, and physics at A levels. I was doing, I think, so that'd have been 5 AS levels. And then for A2, I dropped further maths. So I was now doing maths, biology, chemistry, physics. So in the group that I was in, it was competitive. So like if you got, 70% or 80% in the test, you were struggling. Like it was that sort of competition. So no, but it was good though, because it pushed you to do the best you could. So I think it was my peers that I was around within my subjects. We pushed each other to do the best we could. So part of it was wanting to do well, but part of it was the competition side of, if you get 70% in the test, it's
what you did.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
it.
All right. Okay. So obviously, so university, you decide you don't want to do medicine anymore. So what next? What were you?
Yeah. So it was second year. I was actually. It's quite funny. I was actually thinking about what I wanted to do going forward, and I was actually with my with a girlfriend that I had at the time, and she was like, "Yeah, let's look at prospectus.co.uk."
Oh wow!
So there you can find about different careers. So I ended up looking at different healthcare careers. That's where dentistry came up. So on seeing that dentistry was a career that merged business and healthcare, that's what appealed to me about dentistry. The fact that there was that business element to dentistry. So that's where that started, the interest in dentistry, and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, was business a strong consideration for you already, or was it? So why was business a draw?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint exactly why, but I think at the time I just know that I wanted to own something of my own that had my own fingerprint to my own DNA in it. And business allows you to do that, to shape whatever organization in the way you envision it to that it should be.
So from the very beginning of kind of going into dentistry, business was always a big part of that.
Yeah, that was part of the decision to becoming a dentist, the business side of it. So yeah, almost the fact that the business side allowed you to venture into different things. Like for me, I like the idea of I want to be in property. I want to be a healthcare professional. I want to be in control of the teams that I can have around me. So dentistry just merged all of that. Being able to own practices as well as being in healthcare.
At that point, though, you're in your second year of uni. Did you realize how many years you're gonna have to put in for you to actually eventually get to being a dentist? What was your thought process there?
Yeah, I think being at uni was a big revelation because it taught me a lot about myself. And I realized that, this science degree that I'm doing, I would hate to work in the labs. It's just not for me. I would hate to be just working in research, or I wouldn't want to be a lecturer or or a teacher. So it taught me a lot about myself. And from finding out a lot about myself and what I didn't like, I was able to now think about what I actually do enjoy and what I would want to spend the rest of my life doing. So the years to get to that point, it wasn't really an issue because I'd then be doing what I want to be doing. So the years in dental school weren't a big issue. The issue was getting into dental school. That was now my main hurdle.
So how what was that process like of getting into dental school?
Yep. So dental school, it's an interesting one because you need to. There's different hoops that you have to get over. So you need to make an application on UCAS like everybody, but it needs to be good enough to get you an interview, and then you need to be good enough for interview to then get a place at dental school. But you need to. Well, so I was looking to get into the accelerated dental course. So not the 5-year course, but the 4-year course.
Right.
And I think there was about 90 spots, 90 places around that time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. At the moment, I think it's 62 places on the 4-year course in the country.
In the whole
In the whole country. But I think at that time, there was about 80 to 90 places. So they tend to say that there's 10 applicants for each one place.
Wow.
So it was about trying to make my application strong. I had to find a practice that would take me on just to shadow and see what they do, because when you apply, they want to see that you've actually looked into the career and that you've shadowed a dentist. So that was one of the things that I had to do. I had to now start preparing a personal statement that would stand out amongst everybody else that was applying. I had to then prepare, once my personal statement was good enough to get me an interview, I had to prepare for interview. And that was a whole other process. I crashed my car in the process of going to my interview.
Wow.
They said, let's rearrange the date, but I ended up saying, no, I'll still come. It was an interview at Preston, at UCLan.
Yeah.
Got into UCLan, Preston, sorry. The police stopped me. They said, your car's too, damaged, so we can't let you drive this car. They had me in the back of a police car, actually.
Wow.
But they were kind enough to let me go to my interview.
Welcome to Preston.
So I left my car there, went to my interview, did my interview. So like all of these things I had to do, whilst also doing my dissertation and preparing for my exams for my science degree.
Wow.
So there was a lot going on around that time.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So you get into university here in Preston. What was it like in terms of the work that you had to do during your degree? So obviously it was hard enough to get in.
Yeah.
How about during the actual course? What was the experience?
Yeah. So it was difficult. So dentistry, the people that get into dentistry are already academically gifted. So they got good A levels. Or they've got good results at degree level. On the course that I did on the accelerated course in UCLan, everybody there had a degree as a minimum, because UCLan only accepted graduates onto the dental course.
Yeah.
So everybody had, a degree, and some people had masters.
Yeah.
You had people that were pharmacists. You had people that were opticians. You had people that were teachers before. You had people with masters, a whole mix of people. So it was difficult in that the standard was very high.
Yeah.
To be honest, if you were the number, because I think it was 32 of us on the course, on our cohort, if you were number 32, you were still quite somebody who was very academic. You still had good grades, A levels or a degree, but then it was difficult to stand out academically. And I think I was probably a mediocre student in that 32.
Wow.
I was probably in the bottom third
Yeah.
of that 32.
Wow.
But for me, I think I was exploring my newfound interest in business during dental school. So I remember me and some friends, we ended up making this discount card, a student discount card. We called it the EP card, the Essential Purchases card.
Oh, wow.
And basically anyone in UCLan could get this card and they could get a discount in the shops that we had agreed contracts with. So me and some friends actually went to the shops and agreed contracts. They signed. I think I've still got the contract. Of the discount they'd give us. 10%, 15%, buy one, get one, whatever it was. We made posters, we went into shops and put these posters up and everything was ready. And we actually managed to sell one of the cards. But the thing is, we didn't have enough time outside of lectures, lessons and studying to fully sell and as many cards as I think we could have. So that was just one of the things that was happening around that time. I was working part-time, just to support my time at uni. So working as a support worker, so helping autistic kids just with their day-to-day care. Worked for ASDA, worked for Amazon as well. So different jobs that I was getting involved in just to sustain my time at uni.
Oh wow. Okay, so uni. So obviously, you're about to finish uni now. How did you prepare for the real world to actually go into start practicing?
Yeah. So around when I was getting to the end of my course, I knew where I was going in terms of I want to own practices. I want to be a business owner. So I was actually researching what it took to be a successful owner of dental practices. So I was reading up on material and articles that dental owners or somebody looking to make that step would be reading, which is probably not that common. And this is what I was at dental school. I'd even ask my tutors questions about, because one of my tutors used to own a practice in Blackpool. I'd ask him and he would show me, the different documents that you'd need to look over as an owner and that sort of thing. Because at dental school, they don't teach you about business. They don't teach you about business. So that's something that you have to take on yourself and learn about. So I was looking into it, looking at videos on YouTube. You'd be amazed what you can find on YouTube. And I'd just be listening to how people that are doing it, what was it about them that made them successful owners of practices. So I was watching even, there are different boot camps or companies that help you in starting up a dental practice.
Wow.
So they would have content on YouTube where obviously they're sharing tips and advice. So I'd be looking at that sort of material. Even though I'm not going to be starting a dental practice in the next year or so, I was getting myself into that space. Yeah.
Okay. And so obviously when you graduated and you've become a dentist now, what was that transition like? From obviously being in uni or being in because I know you did a first year where I think it's still a bit of you do a first year and then you become a fully fledged dentist. So what was that transition like?
So when you finish dental school, maybe 90% or more of newly qualified dentists do this year of foundation year. And this foundation year, at the end of it, gives you a license to treat people under the NHS. And that's what this foundation year is for. So you can have the opportunity to treat people under the NHS. But why it's good is you get to practice your dentistry under supervision with somebody, the practice owner usually, who's there and can lend a hand. So it's almost like training wheels. You get to practice with the reassurance that, if you're out of your depth in certain areas, you can get a seasoned dentist to come in and help you during that. So it's a good first year. It's employed, and there's no pressure to meet treatment targets. There are targets to meet because you're building a portfolio, but it's not the same as what associate dentists would face. So it's a nice transition into practicing as a dentist, but it's a salaried year, which is very different to most dentists who are self-employed. So it was uni, then you're going into this employed salaried year, foundation year, where you're just getting the hang of things, and then from that year you can choose to continue being salaried and go through the specialism pathways in the hospital, or you can choose to now go into the wider world of high street practice dentistry, where you're self-employed.
Okay, so was it hard to become self-employed as a dentist after that year? Was it, how hard or easy was it to get into a practice as a self-employed dentist?
So there's a big demand for dentists in our area in the northwest, in Lancashire. So in terms of finding positions, that wasn't difficult. I think what was difficult about adjusting to life being self-employed is the fact that you're not salaried, so you don't know what you're gonna earn.
Oh, wow.
And you've got no reference point. You know, it's you're guessing. Am I gonna earn this much? You're guessing. You just don't know what you're gonna earn.
Wow.
And when you go into interviews, it's difficult to say I can complete this much work for you at the practice, because you don't have a reference point to say in a year this is how much activity I can do. Yes, you've been at dental school in the foundation year, but they're not a representation of the activity you can actually produce as a self-employed dentist. So a lot of it was guesswork. You had to talk to people that had gone before you and see what they thought, their advice. So it was really stepping into the unknown. Yeah, you couldn't prepare to the point where you'd be sure of how things would look from month to month. So it was getting used to, you know, your pay being linked to your activity. Getting used to having accountants. That's a big thing. And getting used to the whole thing of putting money aside to pay your taxes.
Okay. Yeah. So what were the talk me through to some of the financial things? Because obviously in business that's huge. Obviously, like you were not sure how much you were going to be getting. What was it like dealing with your own finances and that kind of thing going into becoming self-employed?
Yeah. So I think one of the main pieces of advice that I still use today was from my accountant, who said, whatever you earn, put a third aside towards your taxes and just don't touch it. So I think that was one of the biggest pieces of advice that made me feel reassured that I'll be prepared for, you know, my tax returns. I think having to keep a log of your expenses. So if you go on courses or buy certain things that are, you know, for your work, you would claim that on your taxes. So being organized in, you know, fuel, going on courses, that sort of thing, and putting it aside for your accountants when it came to time for tax returns. So that was all a new experience. Yeah. But yeah, it was difficult to plan financially because I didn't know what I would be earning.
Yeah. And obviously, you're very modest about it. But obviously, I know as a self-employed dentist, you're not struggling.
Yeah.
you're not struggling.
Yeah.
So is that, so how what was it like for you having those first initial, like maybe a quite big amounts to you that you're not used to? How did that feel, and how were you able to manage that? And
so it's quite interesting because my first month of being self-employed, the pay was probably the same as when I was employed in my first month. But as you got into month 4, 5, 6, you know, my pay doubled, and then after a year, it even tripled. So that was it was a very strange situation to be in, where you know, in the space of a year, you're used to getting a certain amount a month, and then it's tripled by the end of that year. But I didn't feel as though I was earning triple, because you're still putting aside money for taxes. And at that time, me and my wife were saving for a house. So I didn't feel like I was earning 3 times more, if that makes sense. It was more, but it didn't feel like it was more, because we're saving for a house and obviously tax and those sorts of expenses.
But what gave you that discipline? Because you say that and you make it sound like, oh yeah, we were just saving, and you know, we were putting this money here and we had to save for tax. So what gave you that discipline to be like, hey, look, I can't touch this. This is for the house, and you know, that kind of thing.
Yes, I think part of it was just communicating, because at this time I was married now. Okay. I'd gotten married during my final year of university.
Oh wow.
So I think being married was probably part of the reason why there was that stability and that focus to saving towards a house. I'd say that was part of it. And the fact that I realized that there were certain things that I wanted to have set in life before I wanted to take on the risks of business. So part of that was making sure that me and my wife had, our own home, and that sort of stability before I could start venturing into riskier, ventures in business.
Okay, so where are things at now? Did you get that home?
We ended up getting a home, getting a mortgage, and that was a big relief and checkpoint in our lives. But since then, that's now given me more of a freedom now to start aiming towards having my own dental practice. So I've got a 10-year plan to get in the dental practice. I think I'll probably do it in less than 10 years, but I've got a 10-year plan that I've talked to my financial advisor about. And that's one thing as well, getting advice from different specialists so that your goals can become a reality. That's one thing that has been happening throughout this process. But yeah.
Okay, can you break that down a little bit? Just obviously, you don't have to give out all the secrets, but a little bit. What does that 10-year plan to owning your own practice kind of look like? Just very briefly.
So, for a dentist, in my case, one thing I wanted to have before owning a practice is the ability to be profitable. Being profitable as a dentist means that you're able to provide services that your patients want and need, that cover the expenses for that surgery running.
Okay.
So running a dental surgery is an expensive business. Staff that are employed, the equipment, the insurance. So just to keep one room open, one surgery open, costs a certain amount of money a month. So for me, I needed to ensure that I could be producing enough that the costs of the surgery that I'm in is covered. Plus, there's more to be covering. Obviously, my pay and being able to use some to invest and save. So for me, it was about being profitable. Okay. As an associate, as a dental associate.
Okay.
Once I'm able to prove to myself that I'm able to be profitable as a dental associate, then I know if I was to start my own practice and it's only a practice with one dentist, that I can manage that practice, because, the best way to get out of business is having more money coming out than is coming in. So for me, my test run is now being profitable. And making sure that having me in that surgery is actually to the benefit of the owner, and not actually what would you call it? Not a loss maker.
So would you say that is that a normal thing? Do most dentists think like that, or in terms of?
Yeah, I would say probably not. I'd say most dentists probably sway towards the clinical side. In that most dentists probably have gone into it for mainly the healthcare and really specializing and committing their whole lives to the clinical side of dentistry. Whereas I've gone into it with this business side where I want to get my business acumen and my business experience growing at the same rate as my clinical experience. Okay. So I think because I've got that business side, it made me look at my own progression differently.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so what do you do? What do you do to develop yourself and to learn and to grow? Even, let's say, whether it's from the business side or for just your own personal development.
Yeah, so on the business side, a big thing is listening to a lot of material online, whether it's, mainly YouTube, I would say, or articles online. So also just being on groups online where people talk about what it's like to run a business. So there's for example, there's a group on Facebook which is all about marketing within dentistry, where dentists are trying to learn how to market and how to work with marketers. So that's a great resource in terms of learning how dental services can be made more accessible and make people aware of dental services that you can offer. So that's been very useful. Groups on Facebook. What's also been useful is what we do as MTO. So the fact that we talk to business owners, you're gonna find transferable things that you can that you can use in any industry. So being able to hear from the people that run businesses, what's on their mind, what do they have to develop in, how do they see things, that's also been invaluable. Hearing the stories of business owners, that's been a big one.
Yeah, because that's one thing I was going to ask you as well. With Meet the Owner, how did that come about? How did you move from dentistry to we want to talk to business owners?
Yeah. So Meet the Owner, it was three of us, so me, you, and Obed, were together, and I remember bringing up this idea that we wanted to be in business, and the best way to learn about business is by hearing from people that have done it. You had your reasons for wanting to be in business. Obed had his reasons for wanting to be in business. So we just embarked on this thing to gather as many stories of business owners and bring along people with us in the process. So that was how Meet the Owner was birthed. We just had a hunger to learn more about business. So for me, it was that angle of I want to get into the minds of business owners if I want to become an effective and successful business owner myself.
Okay, because you obviously I know you personally. You're very driven. You're very focused on what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to do. So what would you say drives you? What drives you to keep going and to keep pursuing the things that you do?
Yeah, I think it's part of it is where I came from. So realizing that where I came from, there are not many opportunities to do what you want in life. In Zimbabwe, there aren't many opportunities with how things are currently in the country. And I think remembering that, we came to England for better opportunities, I'm always constantly reminded that, what, I've been blessed enough to be in this place where, I can essentially choose what I want to do for life. And if I apply myself enough, I can get there. And one of the things is I want to live a life that, it leaves a legacy, it makes an impact, and it doesn't feel like work. I do it because, I love it. We're going around interviewing owners in Blackpool or in Warrington. It's not a job. We were passionate about this, so we're not driven to do those things because somebody's over us saying you must get this work done. It's just out of our willingness and excitement for business that we're doing these things, even though we're tired and exhausted before we even get there. We just want to make this a reality and we enjoy this. Yeah, so it's wanting to be doing the things that I enjoy. That also helps. So knowing where I came from and also realizing I want to leave a legacy and do things that I enjoy in life.
Yeah. Okay, so what would you advise somebody that maybe they do want to make an impact and they want to make an impact through entrepreneurship that we always talk about? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, so from my limited experience, I think you need to get yourself in the environment of other business owners. You can read books as much as you want, you can read articles as much as you want, you can even watch videos as much as you want, but until you are speaking to the people that are in it, that are in the trenches, and until you try it yourself. And that's the thing as well. You got to try it and taste it and see if it's for you. Do you enjoy this? I would say you need to take action. You don't need a lot of money to try your hand at it. I think sometimes we've got this idea of, we need to have a certain amount of money to then start the business. We need to have a whole marketing team. We need to have a premise. I think all those things, to a point, they're not needed. You just need to actually start exercising your entrepreneurial tendencies. If you make designs, start making designs for sole traders or for small businesses, and for free. Just start doing it and seeing, number one, do I enjoy this sort of work? And number two, am I good enough to actually make this into a profitable business? And with that, you haven't had to spend any money. All you've had to spend is your time and your skill. So I think that's one key piece of advice I'd say, is to start, just to try it. Don't make excuses for why you can't. Just go into it and try it. I'd actually advise you against taking. I'd say probably don't even take loans. Don't take loans. Just start by doing things for free, or doing things at a very low price. You're getting your experience up, and you're getting a flavor of what it's like to be a business person. I think once you've then started to see some success, and you're getting consistent jobs, then you can start thinking about becoming official, setting up a company, having the professional face and branding and all of that. But I think before you even get to that, just start putting your hand to what you can do.
Amazing. So what does success mean to you?
So I think success to me is making the most of each day and not letting up on opportunities that come my way. Fulfilling my potential. Success is fulfilling my potential. That's what I'd say. So you can fulfill your potential at each stage of life. You might have a big goal of, like myself, owning dental practices. But am I fulfilling my potential now to then get myself to that stage? If it's all just ideas and thoughts, but I'm doing nothing about it now, then I'm not fulfilling my potential, at this stage in life. And I'm likely not going to fulfill my potential, later on in life. So that's what success is to me: fulfilling your potential now, and then at the end of it, you'd have lived a life that was full of impact, purpose, and you'd have fulfilled your potential.
Amazing. So, hey guys, there you have it, Dr. Arnold. Trust me, that this is like the modest version. There's so much that Arnold's achieved and so much that is done, and obviously more and more we're going to do this again, find out a bit more. So thank you very much for doing this, Arnold.
All right. Thank you.